That's so scary.
Yeah.
I bet you.
Good evening. We get back from our executive session and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I invite you to join us. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Here.
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 Here. We came out of the executive session and we have two motions. Commissioner Strand, will you give us the first motion, please?
Certainly, Mayor. I move to approve the City of Fargo opting in to the settlement agreement regarding opioid litigation against McKinsey and Company.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Strand,
Yes.
Kolpeck,
Yes.
Pepcorn,
Aye.
Mahoney,
Aye. And on the second part of the executive session regarding persons using streets not to be molested and panhandling, Commissioner Kolpeck, can you give our motion, please?
Sure. I move to direct the city attorney to prepare ordinances repealing sections 10-0307 and 10-011 of Article 10-03 of Chapter 10 of the Fargo Municipal Code relating to persons using streets not to be molested and panhandling, and place the ordinances on the first reading at the next regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of City Commissioners. I further move the City Commission direct the city attorney to consider other ordinances for enforcement purposes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Kolpeck,
Aye.
Strand,
Yes.
Pepcorn,
Aye.
Mahoney,
Aye. Announcements, library. Gingerbread house decorating sessions for kids will be held December 14th at Northport Library and December 16th at the main library, and pre-registration is required. The Job Service North Dakota will visit downtown Main Library on December 19th from 2 to 4 p.m. The free sessions will include job-seeking assistance, veteran services, information on training programs, resume building assistance, limited unemployment insurance assistance, and migrant and seasonal farm worker services. All three library locations are accepting new or handmade cold weather items for their mitten trees. The items will be provided to members of the community who need them most. And Tim Dirks tells me they had one of their busiest months this last month with people using the library. The police, the Fargo Police Department's traffic safety unit will be back patrolling the streets this fall. The $750,000 grant from the U.S. Department of Justice will assist with the expense of 6 officers who will be assigned to the traffic safety unit, and long-term strategy for the unit to help reduce dangerous driving behaviors and increase public safety. And Chief, I'd say winter's coming, so you may have to wait a little bit till the spring till you get those motorcycles out? Correct. The city participated in the annual XL Energy Downtown Community Partnership Holiday Lights Parade on December 2nd. Solid Waste, Matt Bus Fire Department, Police Department, and SWAT were there along with me to help spread some holiday cheer. It was great to see the community come together to celebrate a holiday season. Let's watch this quick recap video. Had huge crowds, and I think, Chief, the SWAT team ran out of candy before we got to the end, so. Is there a motion to approve the order of agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the November 27th, 2023 meeting?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda 1 through 49?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Kolpak,
Aye.
Pepcorn,
Aye.
Strand,
Yes.
Mahoney,
Aye. Resident comments, we have one commentator tonight, Deneen Paramarta, to speak.
Is this working here? Okay. Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for your time. My name is Danny Paramartha. I'm a resident of Fargo for over 15 years now. I'd like to comment about the motion on November 27 meeting regarding the Prairie Garden just south of Island Park here. I agree with what Commissioner Strand said during that meeting that neighbors' input should be prioritized, and Commissioner Kolpak, you said to the Fargo Forum that citizens' comments always matter. I truly agree with those statements. And so what did the neighbors say about the Prairie Garden? We have Marilyn Seitz, who filed a formal complaint. She characterized the small lot as a weed patch and claimed that it degraded property values and invited pests. She also claimed that she is one of 10 neighbors who are opposed to this Prairie Garden. Now, I apologize if I'm not up to date with the most recent development, but here's what we know. While Mrs. Heights claimed that she represented 10 neighbors, there's only one formal complaint, and that was filed by herself. Additionally, Mrs. Heights has refused to name the other 10 neighbors. And so far, these neighbors have not come forward to back up her claims. On the other hand, we have Dr. Daryl Ross, a professor who has spent his entire career of over 4 decades studying, researching, and teaching natural science and entomology. Dr. Ross might not have followed the city's policies to the T. He didn't get the correct permit, but he was dedicated to the mission, spending time and thousands of dollars of his own converting an abandoned city lot into a native prairie garden that's beneficial for our local ecosystem. He also finally worked with the City Forestry Department to correct his mistake and could get the correct permit, and the department applauded the initiative and effort. With that, I'm very disappointed that the commissioners voted to overturn the City Forestry Department decision and to mow down the prairie garden. Commissioner Strand and Kolpak, you have said it yourselves, neighbors' inputs are prioritized, and citizen comments always matter. But it seems to me that on November 27, the commissioners were prioritizing the voice of one neighbor over another neighbor and a city department. The inputs of professionals of the forestry department and a tenured professor did not matter. Sorry, this is bothering me. Can I have 3 more seconds?
Yes.
Thank you. While the unproven claim of a single citizen matters more. Now I see that on the agenda that this motion will be reconsidered tonight. So I plead to you, commissioners, before making decisions, in addition to listening to the citizens and neighbors, please do the right thing and also listen to the experts and professionals of this forestry department of the city of Fargo. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, item 51 is going to be a continuance, so we will do that since it's not a public hearing. It's a continuance to 1/8/24, public hearing by John Deere Electronics. Can I have a motion?
A move to continue.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call vote.
Pepcorn,
Aye.
Kolpak,
Aye.
Strand,
Yes.
Mahoney,
Aye. Application for refund of taxes on property located at 2653 45th Avenue South, requesting reduction of value of 2023 from 2.370 million, 2,378,000 to 1,100,000. James Hanley to explain.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm James Haley, Deputy City Assessor. Before you is an application for abatement and refund of taxes. That's number 4552. This application is for the 2023 tax year. Under North Dakota Century Code, the City Commission is charged with making a recommendation on this matter and transmitting that recommendation to the Cass County Commission for its final decision. The applicant is Phil Abelin of Cafe Holdings LLC. Cafe Holdings is the owner of the parcel in question, which is a fast food restaurant located at 2653 45th Street South. Assessment staff viewed the property on November 8th, 2023. We made adjustments to our property data and reappraised the parcel with our quick service restaurant valuation model. We checked that appraisal with the remaining approaches to value. Finally, we verified that the new value is fair by comparing it to the assessments of neighboring fast food restaurants. Staff supports reducing the value to $2,090,000. The appellant contacted our office late last week to discuss our analysis, and he indicated that he agrees with our proposed valuation. Our suggested motion is to recommend reducing the true and full value of parcel number 01-8533-00400-000 from $2,378,000 to $2,090,000 for the 2023 tax year.
Do I have a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions of James? Roll call vote, please.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Colpack?
Aye.
Strand?
Yes.
Mahoney?
Hey, so it is true you listen to people and try to make it a fair system.
Yes, we don't want to overassess property.
Thank you. Discussion of North Broadway Bridge Project QR 23-AO. Tom Knockbis to explain.
Well, good evening. Happy to be here again to talk a little bit more about Broadway Bridge. Do have a couple of staff members from Houston Engineering here too. If there are any additional technical questions that I can't answer, they likely can. Just want to give another timeline, recap of the timeline. Again, it's been nearly 3 years since we have closed this bridge. That took place in February of 2021. We have had a number of updates that we've provided to City Commission throughout the process. Most recently on October 30th. As part of that conversation, there were some additional questions that the Commission had requested some additional information on. And so tonight we're providing that update. And then the plan is to not ask for a decision tonight, but instead be back in 2 weeks and ask for a decision at that time. So just a quick recap of the options being considered. Option one is essentially replace the bridge at approximately the same elevation that was there. Option two is replace at a higher elevation, and there's just a slight difference between 2A and 2B as far as where it ties in on the southern end. And then option three is no replacement of the bridge. But what we would do if that was selected, we would permanently detour, we would implement traffic calming measures on 10th Street North because of the permanent detour of traffic. So one of the questions I was asked last week, and I'll step through the few items that we'll be going over. First was traffic patterns. Next was the benefit cost analysis. We had discussed it last time, but we didn't have the full results of that. So I'll provide a brief update on that tonight. We were asked to provide some additional public input. And then finally, just want to give an update on the conversation that was had at the Clay County Board of Commissioners. So first, traffic patterns did look at streetlight data and really just in general, traffic heads south across the bridge, again, when it existed, from Clay County to Fargo in the morning. Again, a lot of that traffic is detoured currently. And then really just in general, it moves north across the bridge from Fargo to Clay County in the afternoon and evening. So the next thing, the benefit cost analysis. I'm going to not get too deep in the weeds on this because there is a lot of information. I'll just direct you to where additional information can be found in the report. So really what this looks at is the value of benefits, looking at travel time, operating costs, and greenhouse gases associated with those vehicles. And then it takes a look at the value of the costs, things like the roadway and bridge construction, acquiring right-of-way or properties, future ongoing maintenance of the bridge and roadway, and then the engineering and fees associated with some of those items. So here's really what we found. Option one, which is the build at same elevation, the benefits are greater than the costs. On option two, A and B, which is a higher elevation bridge, the costs are greater than the benefits. And option 3, likewise, the costs are greater than the benefits. And again, there's a lot of information that went into this analysis. So for that full explanation, I would just direct you to page 36 of the feasibility report, which was included in the commission packet. Next thing, we were asked to look into or solicit some additional public input. So we worked with our comms team, put out a nine question survey. Sent out about 7,600 postcards. It was all properties north of Main Avenue and east of University Drive. We had over 1,200 responses. And here, I'm just going to go through what those responses were from our residents. So first was, are you a Fargo resident? 98% were. What describes your current residential situation? About 97% were owners. Where do you live? We want to try to understand where our respondents lived in relation to the bridge. Majority, 69%, lived north of 19th Avenue. You can see it kind of trails off as those get closer to Main. Have you been impacted by the removal of the North Broadway Bridge? About 55% of the respondents said yes, they have been. I'm going to try to slow down through this one a little bit and just kind of, there's a lot to unpack with this one. So we did ask people to rank their choices, first, second, third of option 1, 2, or 3. And so the first choice, the largest percentage, about 38%, chose option 3, which is no build. I think of this in the inverse then, 62% said build a bridge, right? 38% said don't build a bridge, about 62% said build a bridge. And then their second choice and third choice, I've thought about this quite a bit, tried to understand how to really process this. One of the things I would say is, let's pick option 1. So you had a lot of people that said, option 1, about a third of the respondents, build a bridge as is, about 55% choice 2, and a very small amount choice 3. Somewhat different on option 3, you have those that say, don't build a bridge. I'm not doing a good job explaining this. I had it really good in my head. I promise you that. I'm gonna jump to the next slide because this summarizes it better than I'm doing tonight. So when you rank those choices, the majority of people said option 1. What I was trying to get to is that for the scoring of the third option, again, I think the way I interpret it is people that supported a bridge, their first choice was most often option 1. Second choice was option 2. Again, those that wanted a bridge want a bridge. Those that don't, just really don't. Again, I apologize for my poor explanation of that tonight. So next we did go into, would you be willing to pay for a bridge through special assessments? And although 62% of the people want a bridge in some form, most are not willing to pay for a bridge. About 59% said no, they would not be willing to pay. Because there is some nuance in the policy, we did try to, just a broad question like, are you willing to pay? Not understanding a dollar value. We were worried about that a little bit. And so we kind of asked the question, all right, so let's say it was $200 to $500, $500 to $1,000, $1,000 to $2,000. Would you be willing to pay those dollar amounts? And still about 57% of people said, regardless of the amount, I'm not willing to pay for the bridge. Then we went a little bit further. If special assessments were used, by policy, it'd likely be about less than $500 over 25 years. Which of the following options would you be willing to consider? And again, I would highlight about 43% of people said, if I have to pay, less than $500 even, I would still prefer no bridge, no special assessments. We did also try to capture, whether there was any interest in relocating the funds. If this project didn't go forward, should we move the funds to 12th Avenue? I was a little surprised by this. 53% of the people said they would support reallocating the funds, and 47%. I'm sorry, I mixed that up. 47% of the people said they would support that reallocation, and 53 said no. I don't really have any additional thoughts to offer on why this would be. A little background or a little bit additional information on Clay County and their discussion. They had a pretty lengthy conversation about it. So they met on November 21st. The presentation that City Commission received on October 30th from Houston Engineering is the exact same presentation they got at that November 21st meeting. There was a motion to approve option 3, the no build, and there was a second, and there was ultimately a vote, and that failed 2-3. Through that conversation, this was a phrase I felt I heard quite often, and so I just want to share it. And this was again, from the elected officials. There was not any public input, but the statement of it's a bridge of convenience, not necessity. That kind of phrase was used quite a few times through that conversation. Ultimately, where they landed, they seemed to be supportive of option 1, I would say, but really their struggle was that they don't have the ability to fund their portion as proposed. And ultimately, they made no other motions. They had just asked their county engineer to communicate, some of the conversation, and I did go back and watch the meeting as well to share some of this with you. So I want to step through this a little bit. We talked about project funding last time, and there's kind of those two scenarios. If Clay County is able to participate, what are our costs? And based on their conversation, if Clay County is not able to participate, what would be City of Fargo's cost if we still want to move forward with the project? So Clay County is planning on using some state bridge bonding, but my understanding from their conversation, they would likely be able to get $2.5 million, and they would have to at least match that with local funds. And again, based on their conversation, even at option 1 with a 5.3 in local funding, they didn't feel they could support. And again, from what I heard from that, is that would be equivalent to about their entire annual engineering CIP countywide. And so they'd really struggle to prioritize all that funding towards one project. As you know, we currently have $5.4 million in federal funds obligated for this project. We talked a little bit last time about what we have programmed. So we have $2.4 million in Prairie Dog funds programmed or earmarked towards this project. But without using special assessments or some other funding source, we currently have an unfunded amount on this as well. And so for option 1, you can see here that it's about 4.7 million, and it increases from there based on the other options, the higher build options, I should say. So this scenario is just if Clay County was not able to participate, City of Fargo still want to go forward and say we're gonna fund the bridge. Not saying that would be the choice, but I just want to illustrate, what the cost to the city would be in doing so. I also wanted to highlight, again, I'm not saying this is what we would do, but if the City of Fargo chose to move forward and said, we want to build this bridge in 2026, Tom, figure out how we're going to fund it. This is probably what I would provide for recommendations. We do have a number of projects that we're anticipating using Prairie Dog funds in future years. To me, that if I was told to figure out how to fund it, it would not be ideal, but what we'd look to do is probably eliminate projects that we had included in our 4-year CIP. So a few different categories, number of projects on NP Avenue, some pavement rehab projects, and then some core neighborhood projects. And so I'll just step through this a little bit. So if Clay County was to participate, option 1, City of Fargo still has about 4.7 million that's unfunded. We'd look to likely eliminate NP Avenue in 2026. Now, as we go up through these options, you can just see that it becomes more impactful to our future CIP. Now, option 3, though, since we do have 2.4 million earmarked currently for this project from Prairie Dog funds, if we move forward with option 3, there would be some funds that we could move somewhere else. I would propose that we likely move it towards a core neighborhood reconstruction project or a pavement rehab project. So this next table, again, how would we fund the unfunded portion if Clay County was not a partner in this project? And again, as we walk through this, you just see, again, it becomes more and more impactful, extremely impactful as we get to those higher build options. Likewise, again, if option 3 moved forward, though, we would look to probably add additional work to our CIP. So with this is the same comparison that you saw last time. We did update the coloring for the benefit cost analysis, since that information is complete. And then I did add a line based on the slide that we just went through of impact to the engineering CIP, because I do think that is important as part of the conversation as well. And that is what I had for additional information. Happy to answer any questions that I might be able to. Again, if there are any technical questions, I'd ask Houston to help me out on that.
And just remember, we're not going to make a decision tonight. In 2 weeks, we're going to make our motion, which we're going to support. Any questions, Tom? Mr. Strand?
Thank you. And Thomas, I'm still curious about the diversion guidelines for anybody, including government subdivisions, constructing in a floodplain. You know, and I'm not getting my arms around their clear requirements or expectations. My sense is, and yet this bridge already exists in the floodplain, they'd be replacing it in the floodplain, but I'm still not clear. Could somebody else build in the floodplain?
So for infrastructure like a bridge like this, the diversion authority would not be making that decision. So that would be going through Army Corps of Engineers and the other regulating authorities in Minnesota and North Dakota to make that decision. So that was part of this process that Houston Engineering did look into that. And we strongly feel that through all the options that we've presented, it would be permitted and we'd be able to construct that bridge. Now, to your question about, would others be able to build within the floodplain? There are ways in which certain things can be, right? We do have a waiver process for some of that, but in our ordinance, it is outlined certain things that are automatically exempt. Some of that are public improvements, like a bridge. Unfortunately, it could be done. It would be very expensive, though, to always build a bridge that does not have any components within the floodplain. And so that is fairly standard practice. We are able to design around it and ensure that there's no rise in the water level for that. So we do have ways in which we can engineer around that.
And basically, you're saying that if you build outside the floodplain, you may have a suspension bridge, so everything's outside the floodplain, but it's very expensive.
Correct.
So the Boston Bridge that is like that, it's fairly expensive, so that's one of the criteria.
Yeah, but every bridge that we have crossing the Red River in our metro area certainly has abutments and piers typically within that floodplain.
If I could just jump in here, I would just call your attention, Commissioner, to 200508, which is our water course setbacks, restrictions, and exceptions, and it specifically accepts the bridges in the floodway.
Any other questions? Commissioner Kolpak?
Thank you. So I may have seen this incorrectly, but can you go back to the benefits versus costs slide that was up further up?
I was just hoping you weren't asking me to go back to the ranking and try to explain that again.
No, I wouldn't do that.
We saw an engineer overthink, so.
Yeah, I apologize again.
So can you help me understand option 3, no build costs are greater than benefits, but then on the last slide where all the green is, I'm having a hard time reconciling.
Yeah, I hear you there. We struggled with, I struggled with wrapping my head around this. Again, by not building the bridge, we are increasing travel time, operating costs, delay to people, because they have to take an alternative route that is ultimately longer. And when you look at long time frame, those costs to the travelers are greater than the benefits. The benefits in this side being really the cost to construct. And so option 3 is really just the alternative of option 1 of, is there a benefit in building the bridge or not? Now your question of, if I can go back to the other one. I think your question is, so again, option 1 is favorable because the benefit is greater than the cost. Now, option 2B was really bad when it came to costs outweighing the benefit. And we put 2A and option 3 as moderate. one of the things is there's a large initial cost to construct the bridge, and and it takes a long time to realize that long-term benefit of building the bridge, and so that's why we graded it the way we did. I hope that explanation
It helps.
helps.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Pipcorn, you okay? Thanks, Tom. We'll make a decision on it in 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Hope we're in a Christmas cheer then. Item 54, reconsideration of City Commission's actions taken November 27th, 2023 on public hearing appeal of the Board of Adjustment's decision regarding a land management permit on 338 9th Avenue South, which was denied. Commissioner Strand.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. My sense is I would just simply like to advance a motion tonight to reconsider. And if we do approve the decision to reconsider, then it would be, as I understand it, per legal counsel, the topic would be placed on our next agenda for a public hearing again for a full vetting.
And this is on the advice of Nancy Boris that we're following all the rules?
So yes, the Robert's rules would be suspended here for the reconsideration, which has been done by the commission in the past. You can make a reconsideration motion when no action that has been impacted by the decision has been made.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I would like to.
Commissioner Kolpak.
And I have said this publicly and written back to a number of citizens, but at the time that I did not support it at the last meeting, the reason was because of my concern around maintenance. And in the packet, the reference to the 10 neighbors, I'm concerned about that. Since that time, I've had a conversation with administration as well, and they are looking at what that maintenance, how that could be memorialized and documented and agreed to. And so that, in addition to the fact that I got much more information directly from Professor Ross post-vote, I favor this reconsideration.
Mr. Strand.
Thank you. I approach you with egg all over my face. I've had people really tell me what they think of our decision last meeting. And, technically, it's one thing to follow the letter of the law and the rules, but also we serve the people. And there's just absolutely no doubt about it that the folks that came out of their shells to tell us this is what they want in our community. They want more sustainability. They want more resiliency. They want more climate-friendly actions. They want more pollinating gardens. And of course, they want us to have rules to follow them and do these things properly. But, I'll say further, some of the folks who reached out to me they're people I don't hear from very often, but I'm just unable to look at them in the eye and quibble with them about their desire. I'm chairman of the Sustainability and Resiliency Committee, and this is such a good topic. And as we go back to visiting with this over this topic next week, and Dr. Ross, and I invite the neighbors to participate. But there's a lot of suggestions about how to take this further, how to step it up and do more, and how we can take this notion of green prairie grass and turn it into a better thing for the community going forward. So this discussion is a one that I welcome. I celebrate the folks who stand up and speak up, and look forward to hearing what everybody says at the next hearing if we approve it tonight.
Mr. Pipcorn.
Yeah, I have some questions. First of all, so this is the city of Fargo's land. And so if we start doing this, obviously everyone needs to have an opportunity to have this land, not just one person. And so what policy did we follow to determine that this gentleman gets that it's public land? And so if we're going to start doing this, how is that process going to work? That's the first question. The second is, if we start having wildflowers, our maintenance contracts are going to be tremendously more expensive, because right now, what I'd like to know is how many acres does the city maintain right now? And if we start breaking it up into segments, first of all, the bids are going to be much more expensive, because actually this is my wheelhouse. I've been in that business for 40 years. You still have to do weed control. If you don't, there's going to be weeds. What happens is, in a wildflower garden, they look beautiful early in the spring when you're getting rain, and then when that stops, they die. And so what happens is then like Canadian thistle will grow, well, then that will spread to the surrounding city property. And so then you have to do weed control. So there's many more questions. This will increase tremendously the maintenance contracts for mowing and for weed control for the city of Fargo. And so there's a lot of things. It sounds really nice. Well, let's just have all of our public land be wildflowers and that'll be beautiful. But in the real world, that isn't how it goes. What happens is during a drought, they die, the weeds come in, and then they spread. And the majority of people in the public don't appreciate having weeds in our public property. And if you want to ask, the phone calls that Ben Dow gets. So there's many more questions that need to be asked. But the number one question is, this is public land. And how did an individual person feel that that's their right to start taking actions on City Fargo property? That isn't how it goes. And if that small piece of property, that needs to be the opportunity for other people to do the same thing. How did that go? Was it because it's somebody that had the property before, they got preferential treatment? That's not right. So to me, there's many questions before we vote on this. That's my points. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So I've asked Ben Dow and Scott Lindau to kind of explain that next meeting that we have. We do have a policy that exists, and it does cover the ability for somebody to use public land. Commissioner Strand asked the question whether you could buy that land back, and actually this land was bought a long time ago with a diversion with the Corps. So we're putting that question up to the Corps. But we have, sustainability did have a policy on this, and we do have money that city has put into to put pollinator gardens in. So that's an excellent question, and we should have a full report at the next meeting. We've asked both department heads to bring that forth. And Commissioner Kolpak has asked also for maintenance, what the maintenance on it will be to clarify that. So I think we'll have a good discussion next meeting to go over all these issues. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Strand?
Yes.
Kolpak?
Aye.
Pepcorn?
No.
Mahoney?
Aye. Item 55, you have my recommendations for appointment to the Metro Flood Diversion Board of Authority and committees. I think everybody's been doing an excellent job in their particular positions, and I'm basically recommending the same slate that we have had in the past. Do I have a motion?
That's a move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Kolpak?
Aye.
Strand?
Yes.
Mahoney?
Aye. And I do see on the liaison commissioner reports, Commissioner Kolpak is all geared up, but I'll give Commissioner Strand an option to report first.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a report from the Human Rights Commission and DEI Department. Coming up on January 15th is the Martin Luther King Day celebration that everybody is invited to. It's put on by Umoja 55. Dreamers Unite is the theme, and that will be at the Fargo Theater Monday, January 15th from 6 o'clock until 8:30 p.m. That event is a 2-hour event that celebrates the legacy of Martin Luther King through an Afro-futuristic lens. The event showcases the power of dreams, unity, and hope, particularly among the youth, as they present their artistic interpretations of Martin Luther King's vision. And also, Dr. Mahoney, Mayor Mahoney, will be presenting the Human Rights Awards at that event. There will be an award for an individual adult, a youth and business award, and a nonprofit organization. This is a terrific event. If anybody has not been to it yet, by all means, this is a moment for us to walk out in a cold January night and go feeling really proud of Fargo and our advocacy and connection to the visions of Dr. Martin Luther King.
Thank you. Commissioner Kolpak.
Yep, I have one slide today, and it includes information about water bubbles. So pull it up here. So this is the time of the year the water treatment plant often receives calls in the winter months regarding cloudy-looking tap water. And residents should be aware that this is simply air escaping from the water, and Fargo's water is safe to drink. In the winter, cold water can retain more dissolved water than during the summer, and as tap water warms up through in-home plumbing, it depressurizes coming out of the faucet. As a result, the air is expelled as fine bubbles. The water treatment plant operates under strict EPA regulations to prevent unsafe particles from being in tap water and causing cloudiness, and it meets all EPA drinking water standards. That's my report.
Now I know where there's all those bubbles. Just want to report the holiday parade was good because we saw a lot of children out and families out there, and it's really amazing how many people come out for events that are held in downtown Fargo. So I was very pleased to see that and glad to participate. Commissioner Pepcorn. You're not going to talk out the Bison's new coach? Oh, okay. No predictions? Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.